There are certain nights that don't end when the sun comes up. They stay with you. They follow you. And no matter how much time passes, they never really feel over. This is one of those nights. My name isn't important, but for the sake of the story, you can call me David. Years ago, I worked the overnight shift at a small gas station that sat miles away from anything resembling civilization. It was the kind of place people only stopped at when they had no other choice. No houses nearby, no streetlights, just road, darkness, and silence. This was before security cameras were common, and safety wasn't really a priority. The owner didn't like spending money on things he couldn't see immediate profit from. Locks were old, lights flickered, and most nights I was completely alone from around 11 p.m. until sunrise. The job itself was easy, almost too easy. Barely any customers, long stretches of nothing. The hardest part wasn't the work, it was staying awake. One night, deep into my shift, I was leaning against the counter, flipping through a magazine, doing whatever I could to keep my eyes open. The store was so quiet that the low hum of the fluorescent lights felt loud. Then, the front door chimed. I jumped. A man had walked in. At first glance, he looked normal enough. Tall, well-built, maybe in his early 30s. For half a second, my brain didn't register anything wrong. Then it caught up. He was covered in blood. Not a smear, not a splash. It was everywhere. Soaked into his shirt, splattered across his chest, streaked along his arms and face. There was so much of it that my mind tried to deny what I was seeing. Paint, a prank, anything other than what it obviously was. But I knew better. What terrified me most wasn't the blood. It was his face. His eyes were empty, not angry, not scared, just blank, like nothing behind them. He didn't look panicked or injured. He looked relaxed, almost bored. He walked through the store like this was a normal late-night stop. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just stared. Eventually, he noticed. He smiled. "Relax," he said casually. "It's not mine." That didn't help. At all. Every alarm in my head went off at once. This man had hurt someone, or worse, and now I was alone with him in the middle of nowhere. So I did the only thing that felt safe. I pretended everything was normal. I looked back down at my magazine, let him walk the aisles, let him pick out snacks like nothing was wrong. When he came to the counter, I rang him up without meeting his eyes. He paid in cash, said nothing else, and walked out. The second I heard his car start, I grabbed the phone and called the police. I was in the middle of explaining what I'd seen when the door chimed again. My stomach dropped. He was back. This time, he wasn't calm. He stormed up to the counter and demanded to know if I had called the cops. I denied it, but he didn't believe me. His voice got louder, his eyes filled with rage. Then, everything happened at once. He launched himself over the counter. 1 second he was yelling, the next his hands were around my throat. We hit the floor hard. I fought like my life depended on it, because it did. Scratching, kicking, biting, anything I could do. I could feel blood smearing across my face and clothes, mixing with my own. I thought I was going to die. In pure panic, I screamed that I had a gun. It was a lie, but it worked. He froze, scrambled off me, and ran out the door. I lay there shaking until the police arrived. They searched the area, but they never found him. There was no report, no follow-up, no news story. Nothing. I stayed at that job. That was my second mistake. A few months later, during another empty overnight shift, a different man walked in. He stood out immediately. He was wearing an expensive suit, perfectly tailored, spotless, completely out of place in a run-down gas station after midnight. He didn't browse. He didn't look around. He walked straight up to the counter. Without saying a word, he slid a photograph toward me. It was him, the blood-covered man. My heart dropped into my stomach. The man finally spoke, his voice rough and low, like he'd smoked his whole life. He asked if I had ever seen the person in the photo before. I didn't hesitate. I lied. I said no. He stared at me for a long time. Too long, the kind of stare that makes you feel exposed, like he's memorizing your face, like he already knows the answer and is watching to see how you react. Finally, he picked up the photograph and turned toward the door. Just before leaving, he stopped. Without looking back, he said quietly, "I know you're lying." Then he walked out. After that night, things changed. I started seeing the same silver SUV everywhere, outside the gas station, parked across the street from my grocery store, once sitting on my street late at night. Weeks later, I woke up to the sound of glass shattering. Someone had thrown a rock through my living room window. No note, no message, just a warning. That was enough. I quit the next day. I moved, then moved again. Eventually, I left the state entirely. Nothing ever happened after that, but I still think about the man in the suit. Whoever he wasn't law enforcement. And whatever I accidentally got involved in that night, I was never supposed to witness it. After everything that happened at the gas station, I thought I understood fear. I was wrong. This happened a few months ago. I was driving home from a job site nearly 3 hours away. The work had completely drained me, the kind of exhaustion sleep doesn't immediately fix. Heavy eyes, slow thoughts, weak reactions. By the time I got back on the highway, it was after 10 p.m. My truck was old. No safety features, no assist systems, just me and a dark, empty road. About 45 minutes in, I knew I wasn't going to make it home safely. My eyelids kept closing on their own. I had to physically shake my head to stay alert. So I pulled into the next gas station. I filled the tank, smoked a cigarette, and stood there debating my options. I still had over 2 hours left. Eventually, I decided to take a short nap in the parking lot. I parked in the far corner, shut the engine off, leaned the seat back. I fell asleep almost instantly. When my alarm went off, it felt like no time had passed. The parking lot was completely empty now. The other cars were gone. Without thinking much about it, I got back on the highway. The first 20 minutes were quiet. Too quiet. I was driving on autopilot, awake but barely. Then I heard it. A dull, rhythmic thumping coming from behind me. I turned the radio down, checked the back seat. Nothing loose. I assumed it was a tool shifting around in the truck bed. I kept driving. The sound didn't stop. It started to irritate me. Out of frustration, I slapped the steering wheel and cursed. And suddenly, the sound stopped. The silence felt wrong. Then, without warning, a loud crack exploded behind me. I looked back. There was a man standing in the bed of my truck. He was using one of my tools to smash the glass divider. His movements were violent and frantic, like an animal trapped and desperate to get inside. I lost control. The truck swerved, tires screamed.
For a moment, I was sure I was going to flip. Somehow, I managed to stop on the shoulder. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. I jumped out. I don't know where the courage came from. I wasn't armed. I wasn't brave. I just reacted. As I reached the back of the truck, the man jumped out and ran into the tree line. I chased him for a few seconds. Then reality hit. It was pitch black. I was alone. I had no idea if he was armed. I ran back to my truck and drove off. A few minutes later, I pulled over again. The glass divider was nearly destroyed. One more hit would have shattered it. In the truck bed, I saw something that didn't belong there. A small plastic bag. It was tightly wrapped, damp, and smelled like rotting meat. My stomach turned. My hands shook as I picked it up and threw it into the trees. When I got back into the truck, I looked at my hands. They were stained red. I drove the rest of the way home without stopping. I never reported it. I didn't talk about it for weeks. Looking back, the only explanation that makes sense is that he climbed into my truck while I was asleep at the gas station. And if I hadn't woken up